when we're authentic, we can be 100% who we are, still like ourselves, still care about ourselves, and then have the world benefit from the services that we provide.
Today, I'm here interviewing somebody from the PA Center for Hypnosis, Nick Colasanti, about hypnosis. So I'm Kara with Kara Renninger Consulting, and I have been using hypnosis as one of the tools to help myself with healing and to help grow my business for several years now. And today I thought it'd be really fun to talk with Nick about hypnosis and what it is and how using hypnosis can help people to move forward with their own progress, whatever's holding them back in life and business, whatever it is. So, Nick, thanks for joining me today.
Sure, Kara, how are you?
Doing great. I'm excited to talk about this because I often talk about hypnosis with my friends or family and mention it. And I always get such a mixed response from people. So many people are like, oh, I can't do that. I don't want to do it. I'm scared. I'm nervous.
Yeah.
So I guess that's the first thing I want to ask you about is, what do you think makes people nervous about hypnosis? What do you hear usually when you first talk to people?
Most of the times is because people have a preconceived notion of what it is. Now, they get their notions from stage hypnosis, or they've watched movies and they think hypnosis is like mind control and the hypnotist can make people do whatever he or she wants them to do. And none of that is true. Hypnosis is not about mind control. It's about helping someone help themselves. It's basically a tool to help people help themselves heal for whatever issue it is. But usually it's misconceptions based on stage hypnosis. They see people, everybody asks me the question, well, you're not going to make me quack like a duck, are you? Because that's what they know. It's not, that's not it at all.
Yeah, it's funny because actually a good friend of mine, that's exactly what she said. I remember in high school, they brought someone in, and I can't say that I've ever seen that type of hypnosis myself. So I wasn't familiar with it. And we talked about it for a while, and she was explaining that the hypnotist really did make people do things, and she was just really fearful about it. And I said, my experience is very different. It's very much of a calming, peaceful, for me, hypnosis helps me get myself to that state of calm that I don't seem to be able to do on my own.
Stage hypnosis is dramatic, and a skilled hypnotist polls the crowd as to who might be more suggestible than someone else. You cannot hypnotize somebody against their will. So somebody has to be willing to be hypnotized, and there's an anticipation that people have, especially in a crowd. They want to perform sometimes, but it is very dramatic, and that's what gives people the wrong impression. It can be used that way, but the hypnotist is not controlling people. He's giving them, or she's giving them, suggestions that they're willing to act on. It's not much different than when you go to a wedding. If there's no drink at a wedding, if there are no drinks at a wedding, they act very differently than if there's drinking going on. So drinking in some way, frees up people's will or their inhibitions about things. Hypnosis is a way to help people be relaxed and calm, and they're willing to say things and do things that they might want to do in their normal life, but they would never do. That's what stage hypnosis does.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear that. I think I was just thinking it might be good if you kind of tell us how you got started, why you started the Hypnosis Center, so that people can, I think, trusting the person who they might be engaging with in hypnosis would be good. So tell me a little bit about how you got started and why you do this.
I've been in talk radio for many, many years. I started back in 1995 in talk radio. I used to have a band, and I was a musician. I've done a number of things. I'm a number of different careers. Anyway, in 1998, I was doing a radio show, and I invited this lady to be on the show. Her name was Shelley Stockwell. She became my mentor, my mentrix, I guess it's actually called, my instructor. But she had an office in California. So I told her, after reading her book and after talking to her, I'd like to learn how to be a hypnotist. She said, well, if you come to California, I'll be glad to teach you. So from that time until now, I probably have over 600-700 hours of training. That's how I got started. I've got multiple certifications in all different types of aspects of hypnosis. And I work with people pretty much on anything that their mind would create. Their mind can heal. So some amazing things though, Kara, are that sometimes people, they might have a skin condition, or they might have a phobia about something. And, you know, those things, you don't think the skin condition is necessarily caused by your mind, but it can be, or it can be exacerbated by emotions. Somebody might have a skin condition, but the way they feel about it makes it worse. So hypnosis can help people with that. And certainly with phobias, things that people are afraid of, sleep disorders, emotional trauma, all that stuff is affected because the mind is affected by all of those things. So hypnosis can help people heal that as well. It's a
Yeah, I know.
powerful tool.
It really is, I can say from my own experiences in hypnosis. And I think, you know, from my perspective, working with clients, coaching people in business, so many times, so many past things come up, things that you don't want to come up when you're trying to run your own business, or you're in a leadership role. There can be a lot of challenges, and a lot of times things that have maybe a trauma from the past, like you said, or something current is coming up, it's happening. And that's where people get stuck in their business, when
Sure.
their confidence is called into question, when you have to be confident, even if things aren't going well. And part of what I do is help people get unstuck with their business, looking at their marketing, seeing what they can do. And I want to talk a little bit more about how you can help people get unstuck in that regard when it comes to moving forward with goals they have in life, and how, you know, how you go about working with somebody really.
That's really an excellent analogy, though, that people get stuck. You help people who get stuck in their business. I help people get stuck in their mind. You know, you can't, in a way, and this is not a criticism, it's just an observation. We cannot escape our childhood, especially if things have taken place in our lives when we were younger. You can't really escape that, but you can understand it. And then we teach people, since we can't change the past, you can change how you feel about it. And if you can change how you feel about something, then it's as if that thing has changed. In the theory of quantum physics, you may know this, the theory of quantum physics says that the observer changes the observed, literally, physically, like the way the person sees something can change the actual reality in its own right. So that's kind of like a paradigm that I use. If we can change your perspective on things, you can change the outcome, or you can change things that have happened to you in a way. But I do it in a very gentle, understanding, compassionate way. It's not, I'm not zapping people into hypnosis. I'm not doing stage hypnosis. They're not doing anything to embarrass themselves. It's a gentle process to move people into a state of deep relaxation. And for some reason, when people are in a deep state of relaxation, they take suggestions that are valuable to them. They take them on, and they're able to change their minds through their subconscious mind. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. And I want to come back to that point and talk. I think in a little bit, we can talk about what my hypnosis experience is like, to let people kind of understand that. But something I was thinking about when you're talking is a lot of times in the coaching and the work that I'm doing, we talk about the emotional guidance scale from Abraham Hicks, and how we can choose to feel the way we want to feel. And that's what I heard you saying, you know, a little bit. It's changing our view of what's happening, or how we feel about it.
Mm-hmm.
And would you find that, is there a certain type of personality that benefits more from hypnosis? You know, like I said, sometimes I see some skeptical people, and it's a straight no for them. And I can tell that just in my work with clients. And then, you know, and then you see other people who are more open to wanting to heal from anything that may be blocking their future progress.
Well, I think the core of any situation, any therapy situation, is the relationship that you establish with your therapist. So if you feel safe, if you feel calm to some degree, you feel emotionally safe with your therapist, that's the beginning right there. So hypnosis actually starts the moment you call the therapist on the phone, or you come to their office, because that begins the establishment of a relationship with that individual. As far as certain types of people, everyone can be hypnotized. Not everyone will be hypnotized, because you, as I said, you can't hypnotize someone against their will. What I found was, as what we started with, is mostly people have resistance because they have misunderstanding.
Mhm.
Oftentimes, the people who say they can't be hypnotized because they're quote a control freak, they don't think they could give up that kind of control, they end up being my best clients. Many times because they don't feel they're going to be hypnotized, they can't believe that they will be until they experience it, and then they're amazed. They love it. They think it's great. There are signs of hypnosis, so you know exactly where somebody is in that process when they're being hypnotized.
It's really interesting just to see how people perceive things in different ways about being hypnotized and
Yeah.
fears. It's interesting for me whenever I bring it up to hear the fears that people bring up, and just, even if they haven't had that experience, people just really seem to have a lot of fear around that losing control. And maybe I've been blessed, maybe I've been lucky, having to have you hypnotize me, but I'll talk a little bit about my experience. And you said the word therapist, and I think that's a great word to include in the conversation.
Sure.
That, when I visit you, I don't just walk in and sit down and you just hypnotize me and do whatever you think needs to happen. We talk about things. And I always say for me that talking with you gives me more insight than I've ever gotten into myself from
Mhm.
talking to anybody for 100 times. It really helps me. What I like about the experience is that it's not counseling, really. I think sometimes people are against counseling for certain things that come up in their life. And I feel like the sessions that I have with you aren't like that. They are really about sort of the healing and moving forward. And there are sometimes things that come up from the past that do need to be healed. So when we get to the hypnosis part, like you said, it's for me a very comfortable and safe space to be able to take those suggestions in, and it almost feels like a gift to be able to just release and just let those suggestions be followed through. Yeah, go ahead.
So I call what I do cognitive hypnosis,
Hmm.
because it's not just regular cognitive talk therapy, and it's not only hypnotherapy. I try to engage the person's intellectual mind in the conversation part that we have. We spend time talking way before we do any hypnosis, because in the talking, things come up, things come out, and people feel more safe. They feel safer and more confident when they can just explain things. If you just came in and we did hypnosis right away, that would feel like a big loss of control for a lot of people. And I would never put anybody into that circumstance. I need to build a relationship with the individual so that they feel comfortable with me. They feel open to be able to tell me what's going on with them. And then before we do hypnosis, we talk about what it is. No loss of control. You're knocked out. You're not knocked out. I can't make you do something you don't want to do. It's a very gentle experience. And if you choose during hypnosis to come out of it, you certainly can do that. You're not locked into it. You can't get stuck in it or any of that stuff. So
I'm glad you explained that, because I guess that's what I was explaining my experience. And now it makes a lot of sense, because when I hear people being fearful about hypnosis, it's for those reasons. And like I said, for me, there's a connection, there's a relationship, and sometimes things come up in our conversations that I might not know are a challenge for me. And for me, I really feel like it's helped me grow in my business, in the consulting that I do, by being able to look forward a little bit more and have this inner calm and inner peace that just seems to be so difficult to achieve. I think, especially for women and mothers, so difficult to achieve on your own. And so what would you say to women in business who maybe are, we're doing a lot of doing, a little less being, we're not always as good at making time for ourselves, or maybe we don't know how to take care of ourselves. Are there any common themes that come up for you related to working with women in business?
well, not necessarily connecting with women with business, but women in general. There are things that I was surprised about learning in hypnosis that I would not have anticipated. One of them is abuse, that I've noticed over the many years I've done this, and I started in 1998, so I've been doing this a long time. That there's more abuse than I realized there was toward women. So that is ultimately going to impact people in their lives. One of the things I like to say is, look, if people could fix this stuff on their own, they would do it. If people, I'm not going to ever smoke again. I'm not going to overeat. I'm not going to let that trauma bother me. If we could will ourselves into submission, we all would, but we can't, because it's not a question of the will, Kara. It's a question of what's going underneath. In other words, for example, sometimes I say to people in my office, I would say, if I put a wide plank on the floor in my office, maybe like 10 feet long, 20 feet long, and it's sitting on the floor, a wide, nice wide plank, could you walk on that plank? Could you do that, Kara? If I put a wide board just sitting on my floor and widen, and could you walk on it?
I think, yeah.
Of course you could. But if I take that plank and move it up 20 stories between two buildings and ask you to walk out on it, very few people will be able to do that, because it's not a question of the will. It's the same plank, but now you're asking that person in a different circumstance to do something that goes against their natural instinct of fear. So once you can help a person through their fears, help them be comfortable, be calm, and teach them how to do that, then the suggestions start to work for people. Because let's face it, we got to act the way we act because of suggestions. Everything in our life is a suggestion. From the time that you're a little kid until the time you leave this earth, somebody's suggesting something to you. The church, the government, your parents, your family, I mean, your boss. Everybody is giving you a suggestion. Every school kid gets a suggestion by what they learn every day, right?
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it, right? It's all about suggestions and how
Yep.
we are viewing them, really.
People say, well, what is hypnosis? Kara, everything is hypnosis.
I wonder what the politicians would think of that, but yeah.
I know.
It is true though, right? We're consuming so much information, and again, that's why I love hypnosis for myself, because it helps you filter out everything else. It puts you in a calm place so that you can receive the right suggestions for you yourself as a person. I think, that's what I like about it too. It's always personalized and it's specific to a person. You're not following a script, and it's not something, at least I don't know you are anyway.
No, I create the script for the individual after we've had our conversation that we have. That gives me the idea of what I'm going to create as a suggestion for people based on what we've talked about during our session. So it does make a difference. It's I don't know. For me, I was surprised by it. I'm very analytical as an individual, so I would never have thought that this would be something that I would enjoy, I would do, or that it's as effective as it is. Because sometimes it's illogical, and yet it works, and people get better, and they feel good. And you don't have to dig up everything to get to that point. You don't have to spend years in therapy, which a lot of people do. People come to me many times after they've been to the traditional therapists. And they can tell me, Kara, chapter and verse of what's wrong with them. They've got a diagnosis, they have a label, they have all this. And all I say to them, do you feel any better? No. I said, well, then it probably wasn't exactly what you needed. So they do a session or two, and usually people feel a lot better. And if they want to come beyond that, they come beyond that for things to work on all the time.
Yeah, that's what I said earlier too, why I really like hypnosis and the experience, because you don't have to dredge up anything or everything from the past. Sometimes something may come up, but in general, it just feels so insightful, and it feels like a finished product almost. I've been seeing you for many years on and off. But for people to know who are listening to this about hypnosis, it's not necessarily something you have to engage in for 3 months, 6 months, or 10 sessions, which is often what you might hear when you talk about going into a therapeutic environment. But I think the way you explained it and the way I experience is, you can go once or twice and just really get a lot of benefit from it.
Yeah. I mean, suppose somebody comes because you're talking about businesswomen, okay? People they know their business, they know what they want to do, they know their product, or they know their business really well, but maybe they lack confidence, maybe they're not sure. And so you find out, where does that lack of confidence come from? They may have grown up with a critical parent. People who grow up with really the critical parent, they tend to procrastinate about things because they were always afraid to do something for fear that mom or dad would criticize them for doing that. So there could be things like that prevent a person from doing well in business, because there's the emotional component of getting beyond themselves, getting past themselves, their own fears or doubts or worries and things like that. So hypnosis can be a powerful tool to help people's attitude be better.
Yeah, I love that because I think in business and in life, there's that sort of fake it till you make it part of life that you have to do.
Yeah,
And sometimes when you have some of these feelings underlying, they don't go away. And if you don't handle them, they may continue to fester and grow. And from my side in business coaching and consulting, that's where you start to see people lacking confidence in the business decisions. And then they stop taking action. And then they actually do end up failing. They
right.
kind of, fulfill the prophecy for themselves. And so that's why I wanted to invite you today to have a conversation and to talk about hypnosis. It's a tool that I really love for myself as part of my own. I consider you one of my coaches. I think everybody should work with a coach to help them move forward in life. And I really received that from you. And I want to share it with other people so that they could understand that hypnosis is actually a positive thing. And you don't only have to go to quit smoking or lose weight, or for a negative experience. It really can give you some positive energy, some amazing suggestion, all things that you'll want to receive when you have a session.
Right, we're trying, my goal is to create authenticity so that the person can be on the inside the way they perceive that, the way they're perceived on the outside. When we're authentic, we can be 100% who we are, still like ourselves, still care about ourselves, and then have the world benefit from the services that we provide. You're providing an amazing service to help your clients and your customers build their businesses, right? I'm sure they want to be authentic. They want to feel that everything that they're doing is consistent and in harmony with who they are as a person.
Yeah, I think that's a common thread is, people want to be doing things in alignment and they want to feel good and authentic. So I think you really summed it up well there, that you're helping people be more authentic, and we don't have to sort of have this exterior that's different than the interior. And we're all always a work in progress, and there's
Absolutely.
always an opportunity to improve. So if people wanted to get in touch with you for hypnosis, is there somewhere we should send them, or an
Well,
email?
they can email me. My email address is hypnosleep@aol.com.
Okay.
Hypnosleep@aol.com. Or they can use my Gmail account, which is my name, Nicholas.Colasanti@gmail.com. That's Nicholas, Nicholas.Colasanti, COLASANTI @gmail. Or they can call my office, which is always great, 610-326-8647.
Okay, great. And I'll be sure to link that in the notes of the video that we share with everyone. And thanks again, Nick, for being with us. And again, I'm Kara with Kara Renninger Consulting, and we'll look forward to seeing you again next week.
Thank you for inviting me, Kara. That was great.
Thank you.